Good morning everyone. Today we are going to continue with this chapter, the fundamental unit of life. In part 1, we learned how cell was discovered, who all were the scientists who discovered the cell, the nucleus, the protoplasm, gave the cell theory, etc. Then I also told you about the unicellular and the multicellular organisms. Then we learned that cells may be of different shapes, different sizes, like amoeba does not have any regular shape. It can keep on changing its shape. There may be different shapes like round shaped cell or the oval shaped cell, or it can be branched like a neuron, nerve cell, right? It can be of this shape, then or it can be elongated like the muscle cells, then small the red blood cells and the white blood cells, and also there may be different shapes of cells, and each cell has a different function to perform. Like inside our body, we have different organs which perform different functions. Same way, the cells are also of different shapes, different sizes, and they perform different functions. And inside the cell, suppose this is a cell, then there are many organelles present in this cell. These small organs which are present inside the cell are known as cell organelles. So today we are going to study about the structural organization of a cell. What is cell made up of? Right? So all the cells, whether they are plant cells or the animal cells, they necessarily have three parts. Now, what are these three parts? These are, number one, the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. It is known as the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. Secondly, the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is also present in all the cells. Right? Cytoplasm means the fluid which is present inside the cell. Cyto means cell. And third is the nucleus. Right? I told you that a nucleoplasm is present inside the nucleus. Nucleoplasm means the plasm or the fluid which is present inside the nucleus. Cytoplasm is the fluid which is present inside the cell. So these three things, cell membrane or the plasma membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus, these are present in all the cells, whether animal cell or plant cell. Then later we will study what is the difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. What are the different things present in it. But these three things are present in all the cells. So now one by one we are going to study about these three components of the cell. So first of all we will study about the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Now the cell membrane, it is the outermost covering of the cell. This outermost covering is known as the plasma membrane. It is known to be a selectively permeable membrane. Selectively permeable. Permeable means which allows only or which permits only selective things to pass in and out of it. Right? So this is a selectively permeable membrane, and this is a very important question also, that why plasma membrane is known to be selectively permeable. Now, why selectively permeable? What is the answer to it? Because it will allow only certain things to pass in or to enter inside the cell and to exit out of the cell. It does not allow all the things to pass through it. That is from the surrounding environment. Right? That is why it is known as selectively permeable membrane. Now this, how it allows the entry and exit of the substances. That is done by two processes. Number one is diffusion, and number two, osmosis. These are the two processes by which the substances may enter or leave the cell. Now, diffusion, as you did in the first chapter of chemistry also, that is the movement of substances from higher concentration to lower concentration. It is always from higher concentration to lower concentration. Like we did an example, if we light an agarbatti and leave it in one corner of the room. Now, in that corner of the room, the concentration of the smell, right, the aroma of that agarbatti will be more. So, it will move from there to the other corners of the room also. It will spread out from that concentration to the concentration where it is low. Right? So, it moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. Or, we did an example that if we take a beaker of water and we drop some ink in it. Right? We put some drops of ink in it. Right? If we are putting it here, the concentration is more here at this corner. So, it will quickly spread out throughout the water where the concentration is low. So, what is diffusion? It is the spontaneous movement. This is the proper definition also of diffusion. The spontaneous movement of substances from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. And this rule is followed here also by the cell. All the substances mainly pass through diffusion process. Like if we take for example the entry and exit of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. You know, when we take in oxygen, carbon dioxide is prepared in the cells. Right? And the concentration of that carbon dioxide increases in the cell here. It is in more concentration inside the cell than outside in the atmosphere. This is the environment. So here the concentration of carbon dioxide will be less. Here inside the cell it will be more. So, it will leave the cell and move out. Right? From the cell, it will move out. Outside, oxygen is more in the environment. So, from out and here inside the cell, because all oxygen has been used up to produce carbon dioxide and energy, water vapors, etc. Here the concentration of oxygen is less. So what will happen? The oxygen from outside will move inside the cell. And this is done by the process of diffusion. That is movement of gases from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Right? So the diffusion makes it possible here for the entry and exit of substance. Another example, one other process is osmosis. Water, this also obeys the law of diffusion. Actually, osmosis is a type of diffusion. But in case of water, when the water enters or leaves the cell, we say it is done by the process of osmosis. So osmosis, actually the definition for osmosis will be the entry of water from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. The cell membrane is a semi-permeable membrane because it is allowing only certain things to pass in or go out. So, the movement of water particles from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. Right? So, in case of water, we take it as osmosis. Water, of course, it is also following the law of diffusion, and osmosis is a type of diffusion. Only that in case of gases, we will call it as diffusion. In case of water, we will call it as, the process will be known as osmosis. So, now, how the cell acts when it is put in different mediums. How the diffusion takes place. It is not the same in all the mediums. Mediums means the concentration. Right? Whether the concentration is high, the concentration is low. About this, I'll explain you in my next video. Right? Till now, you learn this, go through it, revise, and then we will do the next topic, how the entry and exit affects the cell, and which environment it should be put, and which concentration, what happens, that will take up in the next part. Right? Thank you.